So there has been quite a lot going on this past week regarding Resident Evil Requiem. We've got Big Papa Leon coming back and he's swinging harder than a roundhouse kick to Dr. Salvador's potato bag head. I mean, only this Monday, we've got Sony dropping the ball by accidentally showing the cover art within the PlayStation Store, and you already know the folks on Reddit went off like the Ganados heading off to bingo night. But that isn't what we're here for today, so we're about to jump on to this trailer, collectively gather everything we know about Requiem, and stay tuned because the leaks aren't over, because I believe there is more documents to discover in this mansion you and I are in. So pop the lid off your raccoon beer, chomp down your Jill sandwich, and let's dive and roll out the window into this beautiful installment that Capcom is about to bless us with. Within the first minute of the trailer that was showcased at the Game Awards, we're introduced to our new heroine and protagonist, Grace Ashcroft. And not only that, but the new villain of this installment, Dr. Victor Gideon. And according to Resident Evil Wiki, and let's not forget that it's a community maintenance source, Victor Gideon is affiliated with the Umbrella Corporation as a researcher slash virologist. This ties him into the franchise long history of biological experimentation. And possible spoiler warning ahead if this may be true. Remember, none of this is officially confirmed by Capcom. Dr. Victor Gideon was a researcher with ties to Umbrella Corporation. After Umbrella went bankrupt in 2003, he purchased Rose Hill Chronic Care Center. Over the years, he conducted experiments aimed at freeing Elpis, a US government project connected to the sterilization strategy that destroyed Raccoon City. In October 1998, Gideon became aware of the efforts of investigative journalist Alyssa Ashcroft to uncover his operation and decide to assassinate her. 8 years later, in October 2026, he realized that Alyssa's daughter, Grace, was the key to freeing Elpis. However, his plans were interrupted by DSO agent Leon S. Kennedy and FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft. And it further explains his biography. In 2018, Victor pays a visit to Alyssa Ashcroft, who is staying at the Wernwood Hotel. He first attacks the hotel manager with a knife, then continues his pursuit and manages to fatally injure Alyssa. Grace pushes him, causing him to fall onto an oil lamp, which ignites and severely burns him. 8 years later, in 2026, he realized that Grace's blood is the key to freeing Elpis. He then kidnaps her with the intent of draining her blood and conducting experiments. Now, that all seems way too detailed for anyone to have that kind of information on the plot point of the game, and I don't know why, but this scene right here is just giving me big Evil Within vibes. Maybe because in the original initial trailer that showcased him, he was hooded like Ruben from Evil Within, and I don't know, maybe because Shinji Mikami worked on Resident Evil and that, but could be just inspirations, who knows. He's saying Ashcroft is the chosen one. Now, going back to what the Resident Evil 9 wiki stated about Grace's blood being the key to freeing Elpis, this could be tying into something bigger. So let's bookmark this statement and we'll get back to that later in the video. If this is true, I might have a little theory about this tying into one of the leaks we're going to be talking about later. It might be accurate, as in the first reveal trailer, it showed Alyssa being drained of her blood. Now, right here, we get a bird's eye view shot of a bunch of police cars and what I might assume is the first time you play as Leon in the game. As going back to what the wiki stated, Grace went into that initial hotel where Gideon attacked her. So this might be where Leon uses his secret agent techniques to get the bottom of things. And I'm not talking about your girl's bottom. I'm talking about the crux of the story and what will be the turning point. Investigating the new enemy of the story who's continuing Umbrella's work within the shadows. To further this observation of what's going on in this story, I can only assume that what's under the covers right here is probably the hotel worker who was most likely murdered by Dr. Gideon after kidnapping Grace, are the supposed events after Alyssa Ashcroft, Grace's mother from Outbreak, after Alyssa initially encountered Gideon. I don't know, man. The wiki might be onto something, and Dust Golem, the leaks, everything seems to be connecting. I would also like to hear your thoughts in the comments below about the speculation in all this. Missing police officer could only be Grace, right? God, this is getting so fucking exciting. Now again, more mention of Elpis, right? I'm starting to think that Alyssa's blood is definitely more important than we think. Something more akin to Sherry Birkin's or someone else I have in mind. Now, right here, we see a Porsche, which I can only assume a special agent like Leon himself can afford, going to a mansion that I can only predict is not in Raccoon City. As we can see, it doesn't look anything within city range. Or maybe it's on the outskirts of Raccoon City. Understanding what Hannigan is saying, it's not confirmed whether it's in Raccoon or not, but this could play out as a cat and mouse scenario, something like Resident Evil 4, as Leon's job seems to be rescuing damsels in distress, you know, classic Leon. Then at 2:20, we get a character who isn't named yet, who I can only imagine being Dr. Gideon's assistant. Maybe we have a kind of like Jekyll and Hyde situation going on here. As for the past entries with Resident Evil 7 and up, there seems to be a theme at play here. Something familiar to like old folk tales like werewolves, vampires, hillbilly killers, and whatnot. And in this case, I wonder if it's the same. What would also be insane if this woman is the creature we see in the first gameplay reveal trailer that all of us speculated was Lisa Trevor. Hey, if that's true, you heard that fucking theory right here. Now, of course, we finally get the confirmed reveal of Leon, baby. The guy my girlfriend says I have a man crush on, but shit, who doesn't, right? Pretty sure she does as well. I mean, look at that slick ass leather fit. But one thing we can pinpoint in this specific shot is that they totally disregard Leon's old head look in Resident Evil 6 and went back to form like they did with Chris, using his model from Resident Evil 5 and implementing it into Resident Evil 8. They did this with 2 remake, they did this with 4 remake, and now 9. This design is the fans' favorite, and it's also mine. Now, right here, we see a bunch of pictures, of course, Leon investigating, and again, this most likely might be the hotel she was staying at, a lead she was following that has something to do with her mother involvement of Dr. Gideon. And now in these pictures, it looks like a bunch of affected, maybe affected with the T virus or a virus that Dr. Gideon, quote unquote, perfected. Or this could be one of his stakeouts, but this can't be true as judging by the board. It seems to be an information board that links suspected documents involving the crisis of her mother and Gideon. And as you can see by the pins and strings, only a detective or a cop would use a missing cop, maybe someone like Grace. And this only confirms that yes, Grace is in fact the one who made this mystery board. If you look deep enough into these trailers, usually they use symbology to tell a story without telling it, right? I mean, after Leon is looking at the picture of Gideon, it shoots right to a scene of Grace being dragged away, which can only mean that the suspect that was chasing down chased her down, while Leon is chasing her and the suspect down. The cat and mouse game. Now, right here in the trailer is sort of showcase what weapons we will be using. And if you guys could tell me in the comment section below what kind of revolver that is, it would be great. But from 256 and up, we see a revolver, a goddamn axe, and the best for last, a goddamn chainsaw. A total callback to Resident Evil 4. I might have to pop Resident Evil 4 and play it for the millionth time, man. I don't know. Now, for the last seconds, these zombies seem like a mixture of Ganados and the T virus infused, but who knows? Maybe Gideon himself got his hands on the Megamite seat, but that might be impossible as Ethan destroyed it at the end of 8. But with Resident Evil lore, anything is possible. Now, right here, you can see that the axe is a equipable weapon, and at 318, alongside with the chainsaw showcasing below, it has a durability damage to the item. Something like how we had durability in Resident Evil 4. Obviously, in Capcom fashion, they use certain gameplay mechanics and carry them into the next installments. And with Leon being a playable character in this game, it only makes sense for them to carry on a lot of Resident Evil 4 remake gameplay mechanics because it just makes sense, right? But wait, there's more. Remember the part where I was talking about, you know, a certain leak? One more character, take one. Well, sure you do, because this is the theory I came up with that involves this final leak and how 9 could link to 8, ending this trilogy of 7 through 9 while starting a new one. Grace may be like Sherry, but you know who she else is like Rose, none other than Ethan's daughter, as in the DLC of Resident Evil Village, she had powers of the Mega Might Seed, but later was able to rid herself of the virus later in the story. And during the leaks of the deluxe edition, as stated on Game & Bolt, according to the deluxe edition listing on retailer site, it includes an expansion pass called the Sanctuary, which adds 2 new story scenarios and a major mercenaries mode update. What odd is that it also lists Rosemary Winters, daughter of Resident Evil 7's Ethan Winters, as playable. Alongside a cosmetic filter for her visor, she gets 3 exclusive outfits as part of Shadow Walker costume. Some have noted that Rose may be playable in Mercenaries mode, but it's equally possible that she's part of the campaign. Given that it starts with Grace Ashcroft 30 years after Raccoon City incident, roughly 2028, and Rose became playable in Resident Evil Village DLC set in 2037, there may be very well a time skip where Leon figures into all of this, especially after numerous rumors remains to be seen. But hey, at least the mercenary mode is somewhat confirmed. Now, one thing I would like to say about mercenaries mode is that usually when there is a mercenary mode in Resident Evil, they do use characters that you cannot play in the main story, but they are in the main story. So who's to say maybe she's not a playable character, but she could be in the story? There's always interconnecting characters from previous games that you played who are implemented within the next installment. It also seems we're going to get in the role of mentorship in these series. Previously, Chris with Ethan, and now Leon with Grace, and this now being a new saga in the series, we are being introduced to a new slew of Resident Evil icons. The new generation is here as the old one passes the torch. I believe Rose could be a potential playable character, as before in the past leaks, it was assumed we take the role of multiple characters. Check in my previous videos on that information if you would like. And it could also just be DLC, but who knows? This is all speculation. What do you guys think of the trailer and this speculation? Do you feel that the game should keep it just Leon and Grace but add in Rose as a side character, or should we have a third playable character? I mean, it wouldn't be that surprising. I mean, remember Resident Evil 1 that we had Rebecca kind of as a short time playable character. But anyways, how are you feeling about the trailer? I'm stoked as fuck, but I would like to know what you guys think in the comments below. Like this video for more content, leaks, and news information on upcoming games soon. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, and you might get invited to bingo night. Count your sheep, count your Z's, and go to sleep. Peace out.